Hi, everyone. I am Mary Kate Luke. I'm the marketing specialist here at Hasmark Publishing International, and I am joined today by Jen Gibson. She is the Director of Marketing and Publishing with us. And we are here today to introduce you to a wonderful author who has written a new book. It is called Your Retirement, Dream or Disaster. And the author is Rajiv Nagaich. And we're so happy to have you, Rajiv, today to chat with us about this book. I want to start off by asking, the book dives into a lot of heavy topics in relation to retirement, the deep fears and lots of things that people face. Can you talk to me about why this topic is so important to you?
It is because, Mary Kate, by the way, thank you, Jen. Thank you, Mary Kate, for having me here. It's good to be here. As to why this topic is so important to me is because somebody who was not born in America, somebody who is coming to this country as an adopted country and loving every minute of it, pinching myself every time I wake up here in this country that I had this opportunity. For me to see the 70% of Americans face a future in retirement where they're not going to be at home when they take the last breath. They will not be able to live out their lives in their own home. And majority of us are hoping never to become a burden to our family members or loved ones. But the reality and the research shows that 69% of the people of all of us, as we grow old, at some point in time will become the very burden we are hoping not to become. And I compare and contrast that to how things happen in the third world, so-called third world. And life is very different up there. So the topic is important to me because what seems to be an eventuality, an inevitable outcome in life, to me, it is nothing short of a failure on how we go about doing the planning. And I wanted to write about this to try and at least shake up the society to say it's not the lack of rules or laws and know-how that get us the bad results that we end up getting. It is how we go about planning, and which is what the book is all about.
What would you say are a few crucial steps to retiring successfully?
I think that the biggest thing to understand about retirement is to understand it's a multidisciplinary issue. In life, we go about planning many different aspects of our life when it comes to the planning issues. We go to financial planners and they give us advice. We go to lawyers. I'm a lawyer and people come to me and they want their wills and trusts, all the legal planning done. We go to doctors. We go to insurance agents. The problem is that's called bumblebee planning. We go from topic to topic, we go from professional to professional, but seldom do we see that retirement is just a continuum of everything. And so if you ask what is the crucial issue to go ahead and understand, it is to recognize that life is going to be wonderful as long as you're healthy. The moment you lose your health is when everything is going to start becoming unraveled in a very predictable fashion. Health will become a housing issue because if we end up in the hospital in our old age, we probably are not coming back home. We're being sent to some rehab center, some care facility, exactly where we don't want to be. Then it will become a financial issue because our healthcare system that we rely on, Medicare and health insurance, if you have heart attack and stroke and cancer and diabetes and cholesterol, all of that is covered. But if you have the sorts of things we are more likely to deal with as we grow old, things like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, old age, frailty, none of these things are going to have any meaningful coverage under your Medicare system because you don't need medicine. You need someone to help you with your day-to-day living activities. So what started off as a health issue and it became a housing issue will become a financial issue. And then if you're lucky, somebody will say, go see an elder law attorney. So even though you've done all your legal planning, none of that work is really going to prove to be effective against thousands of dollars that are being burned to take care of long-term care issues not covered by Medicare. And all along the way, aging is a family affair. So just because we are hoping not to be a burden doesn't mean anything. The day I fall ill, all my kids are stuck in my life. The only question is how well they are prepared are they going to be. So, Gene, the critical part to retirement planning is to look at retirement planning that we do with all the different people as a continuum. And the mistake that we end up making is thinking that if I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, it's all coming together. It's never going to come together. That's the key to doing a good retirement plan.
definitely. I like that how you phrase that, the bumblebee effect, because it's very visual. It's an interesting concept to think of it that way because it's true. That's how it is.
It is. I mean, and we've been working on that issue that exact way for a very long time. So yeah.
Now, during the writing process, were there any sort of roadblocks that you faced along the way? And if so, how did you work to kind of overcome those?
I mean, the roadblocks are pretty obvious. I think we all have a particular point of view that we have about life or a topic that we're talking about, and that's what I had. I had a topic, I had a point of view of looking at life a certain way, and then you start doing the research, and then you start looking at all the published research that is there, and it is woefully inadequate. For example, when you start researching the legal issues, I'm a lawyer. We can get a lot about how law can save the whole world from everything. But when you take a look at how is law linked to the financial work people do, or the housing work, or the healthcare work, there is no published research really that talks about the whole thing. So as I was writing the book, it was all about pulling all these pieces together by doing indirectly. There's not much guidance that was given to me. So it was over many years. What should have taken me about 30 days to 60 days to go and do. It took me about 6 months to a year just to map out as to what I needed to do. And then we had to work it through.
Excellent. Why is this book so integral to those who plan to retire soon or are caring for someone throughout their retirement years?
I think it should be integral to anyone who's even thinking about retirement, because if you are thinking about retirement, what is happening is that we are going down a path that gives us a 70% predictable chance that we are not going to be able to live out a life in our own home, that we are going to end up becoming a burden to our loved ones, and that we are going to lose money to uncovered medical and care costs. And it will be not because we didn't do the planning. We just didn't do it the proper way. That's the fundamental difference.
Absolutely. That's such a huge part of this. And that leads right into my next question, which is, what would you say sets this book sort of apart from maybe others that discuss retirement planning or other thoughts on this in the market?
So most of the books that are written on retirement planning, they come from a particular point of view and a very narrow point of view. So there are lots of books. When you think about the word retirement planning, it really is all about financial planning in the end, right? I mean, when you Google the word retirement planning, there are about 41 million plus hits that come on Google. And when you start looking at the links, they're all about money. How much money do you have? How do you invest money? Do you buy a long-term care insurance policy, etc.? There will be a few odd mixes about, nursing homes and housing issues. Very little, not much is written in retirement planning about that issue. And then, of course, you've got the wonderful book that Dr. Atul Gawande had written about being mortal. That seems to be the definitive book about retirement planning from a non-financial perspective. But he is coming at it from a very narrow medical perspective. To him, the ills of retirement planning are because the medical community doesn't get it right. And in the end, when I take a look at all that is out there, they seem to basically suggest that the consumer is impotent to be able to do anything about the issues that they're eventually going to end up facing. And over 22 years, I have basically proven that is a fallacy. That's the wrong way of thinking. Every professional looks at it from a narrow point of view. Why? Because that's the education that we've been given. And I suppose one of the benefits of not being born in America is to take a look at the same problems that everyone else is looking at from a different perspective. And when you approach the issue from a different perspective, if you will, then you come up with different answers. And that's what this book is about. It's looking at the same issue that most people will take a look and say things like, oh my God, I mean, why even bother about Alzheimer's? There's no cure for Alzheimer's, is there? I mean, when we get it, we get it. We'll have to deal with it. There's no cure. We'll figure something out. And I am looking at it from an Indian perspective and saying, in a society with about 1.4 billion people, how can you live without building a nursing home? We deal with the same exact issues, but you look at it differently. You plan for that day way before you're going to get Alzheimer's. It's not a question of whether you can do something about Alzheimer's. It's a question, how will you deal with Alzheimer's if you do get there? Hopefully you'll never get there. But having a plan to deal with it is much better than having a hope of never getting Alzheimer's and then having to deal with it, in which case it'll be nothing short of a catastrophe that you'll be dealing with.
Right. What do you hope current and future retirees take away from reading the book?
That this is a very hopeful story. Right, 70% of Americans not being able to live out in their life in their own homes. It's something that is a outcome that is based on how we plan. This book should be the hope that you're looking for, that if you do the planning differently, if you set your goals properly, then you can have very different outcomes. You don't need to be your neighbor or the majority of this country that is failing in retirement. You can be amongst the 30% who actually succeed, and not by accident, but by pulling all the pieces together. So you have predictability of outcome no matter how life turns out.
It's so important. And I like the positivity behind the whole story, because it's, like you said, it's shifting your perspective and looking at it from a different way, and looking at it in a positive light, I think is going to be so helpful for so many people.
Right. Exactly.
Now, when can people get a hold of a copy of this book? When does it launch?
The book is going to launch in March. So I just got back from New York, having taped my second PBS show on this same topic. And it's again, the hopeful story that I want to have. So we are going to have the book and the PBS show both actually be introduced to the marketplace in March. So stay tuned.
Excellent. Where can people find you and learn more about you online?
Well, the one obvious place they can go to is agingoptions.com. And if you go to agingoptions.com, you'll be able to find a lot of information there. Or you can also buy the book on Amazon and all the, Barnes and Nobles and all the regular types of outlets that you're able to buy the book. But you can certainly go to agingoptions.com. You can also find us on pretty much the most social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the sorts of places that people go to find information about me. And if you're looking to buy the book, you can buy it directly from rajivnagaich.com, or you can also buy it on Amazon and all the other book outlets like Barnes and Nobles and whatever other places there are.
Awesome. Thank you so much for chatting with us today, Rajiv. This has been such an enlightening conversation on a difficult topic for lots of people, but I think this is really going to help so many out there. So thank you.
You're welcome. Looking forward to having the book come out, and looking forward to having people really change the trajectory of where their life is going to take them. Thank you both.
Absolutely. And your retirement dream or disaster will be available in March. So thank you. Pick up your copy.